Hi, everybody. I hope you guys are having a good Monday. Today, we have a special treat. I want to talk about the gut. And so many people are contacting me right now saying, Sara, it doesn't make sense. I'm eating all the same things that I used to eat, and I am bloated, I'm constipated, I'm gaining weight out of nowhere. And I've talked about the fact that over the last 2 years, we've also been exposed to certain things that are tripping up our systems even more.
Yeah.
So it's really a problem. And what I want to go into, because we've got a special guest to get really deep into the leaky gut supplements, but something that I've talked about is the healthy wrong foods that you might be eating. And we talk about gut pathogens. Well, you can get an overgrowth of bad gut bacteria. And these factors that can actually trip those up are stress, healthy foods, and pathogens. And if you're the standard American diet, and even most diets will say, eat chicken and conventional beef. That's great. Well, those proteins in the chicken and conventional beef have something called amyloids, and those amyloids can't be broken down in the body. They get lodged into the tissues in your brain, cause Alzheimer's and dementia. And our body, the way we use proteins, we break them down into amino acids, then we take those amino acids that we need and we go, okay, we're going to package them back together and send them to our bicep muscles, and that's where we need them, and that's how it works. Well, if we can't break them down, then what is the body going to do with these amino acids? So what happens though is then you put that together with vegetable oils, vegetables in the sulfur and oxalate families. Sulfur families include cauliflower, cabbage, broccoli, all the healthy foods, right? Those could be tripping up your detox pathway. The oxalates include the spinaches, the nuts like almonds, kale, Swiss chard. Those things are being lodged into your tissues in your urinary tract, your kidneys, causing kidney stones, causing Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism because they love the thyroid, and aches and pains and arthritis because they're being lodged in your joints as well. So then what happens, there's a domino effect where there's an overgrowth of pathogens in the gut. So what happens? The amyloids from foods like chicken and conventional beef strengthen the protein coat known as the biofilm around infectious and bad viruses or bacteria, making them stronger. Those viruses and other gut pathogens grow stronger and more resilient against the immune system. As a result, the biofilm and bacterial overgrowth throw the gut microbiome out of balance and leads to holes in intestinal lining issues, also known as leaky gut. And this leaky gut leads to intestinal permeability, where the particles can pass through the intestines into the bloodstream. And then the body's further stressed as it attempts to address the amyloids and pathogens entering the bloodstream through the permeable gut. The stress further weakens the gut integrity and intestinal barrier, increasing the strength and overabundance of the pathogens. And then the pathogens produce more amyloid structures. So it becomes this vicious cycle. So the 4 health groups that could be leading to your leaky gut and gut pathogens are the wrong proteins. So we want to stick to wild animal protein, deer, elk, bison, lamb, wild fish. We want to stay away from chicken, all poultry, pork, turkey, and then conventional beef. Grass-fed beef, grass-fed, grass-finished is okay. Then the fats, some fats, if you could be backed up in your liver and your body can't be processing the fats. So we need to get rid of the vegetable oils and all the wrong fats. But if you are all backed up because you're eating the sulfur and the oxalates and the amyloid proteins, your liver's not working right. That's why I love my liver, and I always talk about liver flushes. But you could be in a place where you're fat malabsorbed and you're not breaking down the fats. So we need to get rid of those. get rid of the sulfur and the oxalate food groups, at least temporarily. We can eventually include them again. So getting rid of those amyloid proteins, eating the wild animal protein. I love bison. I love lamb. Once you start eating it, you'll realize how good and easy it's to on your system. And then eliminating those oxalates, kale, Swiss chard, spinach, almonds, berries, chocolate. Don't kill me, I know. And you also will start seeing that your thyroid might start working better. The problem with oxalates is it takes years to get these oxalic acids out of your body. So you have to be patient. And I have a kidney cleanse on my website. It's at Accelerated Health Products if you know that you need to detox from oxalates. Sulfur vegetables, this is the beauty, is if you need to detox from sulfur vegetables, you get them out of your system and within a couple of days you feel amazing. If you have a bad response to garlic or onions or egg yolks, that's a pretty surefire way that you have a problem with sulfur. A lot of medications and supplements have sulfur in it, and those can be tripping up your pathways when those are actually supposed to be helping your detox. So sulfur is a tricky one, but you usually notice right away when you get rid of them. Even a lot of the healthy green juices have all of these sulfur and oxalate vegetables in them. And then the diet, the fat, like I mentioned, you'll become fat malabsorbed. Signs of fat malabsorption: you get the bumps on the back of your arm, your stool is floating, or it's like a pale color in the toilet. That means that your body's having a hard time breaking down the fat. You need a liver flush. You need them 3 to 4 times a year. You want to reduce exposure to toxins as much as we can. Heavy metals, the GMOs, all of those lead to gut permeability. This is why I recommend the Acceleradine iodine with the silver, with the Nuke No More, and the detox powder. All of those are detoxing you from the heavy metals and the radiation and all the smart devices that we are being exposed to, the Zooms and everything that is in our lifestyle now. Reduce chronic stress and lifestyle, easier said than done, but those things create a cascade of aging and detrimental effects in the body. So what supplements, before we get into the gut supplements, I just want to mention that I recommend. I love the Wild Lights because it helps with your electrolyte formula without having oxalates or sulfur ingredients in them. And a lot of electrolyte formulas are essentially some scientist or some lab rat saying, oh, I want to put more potassium in here than the sodium, than the chloride, and they hand pick. Well, Wild Lights is all whole food, and so is the quintessential. The quintessential 0.9 comes from seawater and has the exact compilation of minerals and electrolytes that are in our own blood plasma. Both supplements feed our body the right minerals and electrolytes that we need. And then, of course, I'm going to pull out my Accelerated Ancient Salt that has over 62 minerals, tastes amazing. Most people say that they can replace all seasoning with just this salt. It tastes so good, but just putting it on your tongue rehydrates the cells and gives you that energy, helps with detox symptoms, helps with when you are, detoxing with the Acceleradine and the Nuke No More, or you're going through the Ascent Diet Cleanse, you get all of these, the electrolytes and minerals from the salt, and it really helps feed the cells at a cellular level. And that detox powder, it helps coat the stomach and the intestinal lining, reduces inflammation, helps with bloat and regularity, alleviates issues like Crohn's disease and colitis. I take it daily. So through the cleanse, or when you're doing the liver flush, you do about a tablespoon every night. When you're doing it just on a daily basis, you really only need 1 to 2 teaspoons. I put it over water and ice with a little apple cider vinegar or lemon juice and maybe a little sweetener or honey, and it tastes fine, goes down. A lot of people also say it helps with sleep. Berberine HCl, this helps break down the proteins that I'm telling you to eat, the wild animal proteins that are so chock full of nutrients that you think you're getting from the vegetables, but are more heavily in those animal proteins. But the HCl helps with the digestion, which in turn inhibits gut pathogens, and then the berberine helps your insulin to stay at a lower level, especially if you are eating the carbs. The X39 stem cell patch is going to reverse the aging of your body, essentially resets over 4,000 genes. So you're going to detox like your 20-year-old self, right? So, you know, I had my daughter just come home from 4 weeks of being at a rowing camp where she was eating dorm food, and her body is able to deal with it a lot better than if I was eating that dorm food for 4 weeks. And she does do the patches though, by the way. And then the energy enhancer patch increases energy and endurance, but it also helps with nausea, reflux, improves digestion, and tonifies the organs. So those are important. And then of course, the accelerated keto. Why is this important with your gut? It's a game changer. You get that energy physically and mentally right away within 30 minutes because you're put into that fat burning mode, and then you're eliminating the cravings for the sugar and the carbs and the vegetable oils that are triggering gut pathogens and causing leaky gut. And you're able to intermittent fast. When you're intermittent fasting, what is happening? Your body says, okay, we can now go, we're not focusing in on digestion. We're going to go in like Pac-Man and eat up all of those toxins, the bad cells, the junk, and reduce inflammation, help with the pain and inflammation in our joints, clear the cobwebs in our brain, get rid of all that, the glucose that is left over in our body, and start burning our body fat. We all have thousands and thousands of calories to burn on our body. We do not need to eat. It's now 2 o'clock. I actually have not eaten today, and I have amazing energy because of the accelerated keto that I took at 6 a.m. I don't even drink coffee anymore. I've eliminated all of that, and I feel great. My energy's great, and I've worked out and done all of that, and I can't wait to eat my wild lamb, a rack of lamb tonight for dinner. So that's kind of where I'm at. And am I going to eat a ton of it? Yeah, I'm not going to hold myself back, because you really can't eat too much protein. Your body's going to tell you, I've had enough. I've got plenty of nutrients in the food that I just ate. Unlike when you eat the cake and the cookies and the Ben and Jerry's, your brain's saying, oh, I like that, I want more, because it's triggered by that addiction on the sugar. So we have gone into that on some other health talks. But now I want to get into the gut supplements when we are really needing the healing. And so I've got Jeff here from Microbiome Labs, and Jeff just has an amazing way of explaining how these supplements work in layman's terms. So you guys all know that I am carrying the Leaky Gut bundle, which is the Mega Pre, Mega Spore, Mega Mucosa. I now am taking personally and carrying the Mega IgG 2000 and the Mega Guard for digestion. So Jeff, welcome.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
Well, why don't we start with what you think, if you've got somebody that comes to me and says, my gut is a disaster, where do I start? And they're going to do everything I tell them with their diet and getting on intermittent fasting and all of that. So can you tell them where they would start and why each supplement works the way it does?
Yeah, sure. Can I share my screen, please?
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see here. I need to.
Yeah, let me in.
That's not what okay, so how do I do this here? Give us a moment here, share screen. So you have to, yeah.
Okay, all right, hello, let me share my screen, share screen, and then I'm All right, here's my screen. Share. All right, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, let me go ahead and shrink these things. So, thank you. Glad to be here. So, our focus as a company, Microbiome Labs, is straight up on the gut health, gut microbiome, gut infections, and we're just a specialty company. We're not looking to do everything, but we have some unique products, and we're kind of innovators, not intimidators. I mean, impersonators. Or if someone is doing something well, we let them do it. There's a lot of really good companies out there, and if they have a wonderful product, we might as well just use theirs instead of us making our own to copy them. We're not going to copy folks' products, but for the most part, we really are a premier gut health company. And relative to just the best way for us to help someone that's had a lot of gut issues is we just want to start things slowly. And when we look at what leaky gut is, again, well, this is a healthy gut. And again, I'll just increase microbiome diversity. A diverse microbiome is a healthy microbiome. So the more diverse, the more resilient we are, the better we can handle if there's invaders. Or the microbiome is also part of, actually is our immune system. It plays a major role in our immune system. So it's just really an incredible area of focus, and I'm just really glad to be part of this. So the bottom line is a healthy gut, thick mucosal layer, healthy diversity, low pathogens, low toxins, low mucosal inflammation. So here we go. This is healthy, but this is not healthy. And I call this like acid rain. Leaky gut is actually the outside world getting into our blood. And that's why we have this autoimmune situation going on with a lot of folks. Leaky gut can express itself in a lot of different ways. And so people like with mood issues and like, what the heck is my gut got to do with my mood, or skin issues or eczema, or even, other metabolic situations, or just even like hormones and things we're talking about. The microbiome plays a major role. And if we have leaky gut, that's not good, because again, the outside world is getting into our blood. So what we can do about it is, first of all, Megaspore. This would be a golden product to start with. But if we start with Megaspore right away, the spores are going to go in there, or Megaspore, those strains are going to go in there and start kicking butt. They're going to help get rid of the bad guys, allow the good guys to regrow. But if we start Megaspore and we've had a lot of gut issues for decades, it might be a little too powerful. So we might want to hold off on Megaspore at first. But for the most part, and we'll talk about the spores in a minute, but let's get right to how do we start someone that has gut issues? Well, again, if we look at our scenario with the gut microbiome. So here's our the intestinal tract, here's the mucosal layer and our epithelial lining. When we have gut issues, we have a lot of dysbiosis. We have a lot of overgrowth of the bad guys. Maybe the good guys aren't there and dominating. The bad guys might even make toxins of their own to help get more foothold of the environment. The gut microbiome, it's all those bacteria are competing for the same resources. So if you get an overgrowth of something that's aggressive, then it really is going to help take the nutrients and things from other bacteria. So if we can have things in balance, it's more like a healthy rainforest. Everyone's just there to work together. They complement each other. They're not trying to get a big foothold of the environment, like let's say a C. diff might, or some type of pathogen that just wants to take over. So if we have a lot of gut issues and we want to start with our recovery, the best product to use is an IgG. And I know I said we're not a Me Too company, but without IgG, we would not be considered a gut health company, because IgG simply binds to bacteria and toxins. So when I was talking about even C. diff, the IgG is going to bind to C. diff, but also the toxins that C. diff might be making, which is like a virulence factor. So look at what it binds to, mycoplasma, H. pylori, C. diff, LPS, lipopolysaccharides. That's one of the drivers of leaky gut. If you don't know what LPS is, it's just simply when we eat bad food, it kills gram-negative bacteria in our gut, and then they release a toxin, the lipopolysaccharide. So that's why post-perennial endotoxemia, or what they call, it's like the toxic load. I mean, that's really what we're experiencing when we eat bad food. We get this gram-negative bacteria that's going to actually kill the bacteria, and then we become toxic from what we're eating. If we kill these bacteria and they release toxins, then now toxins are coming from within us. And that's why, let me show you the study real quick. So we have our megaspore, and then we did a study showing in the World Journal of Gastroenterology. And at the end of the day, when we eat bad food, we get this huge LPS spike. And so this was the study was done at the University of North Texas. Here it is. So here we go. World Journal of Gastroenterology, huge study. And what it showed was we gave college students a McDonald's breakfast. And at hour 5, like you see here, we get this huge LPS spike. So here's when we gave them the meal, and we tested their blood at hour 0, 3 and hour 5. The baseline group, so what we found is the blue line is showing what happens when we eat a McDonald's breakfast. It takes 2 weeks to recover from fast food with all the inflammation and damage it does and the toxins it might create. But look at this. So we have this huge LPS spike at hour 5. These college students don't have many symptoms, but at the end of the day, this is showing that meal caused a huge LPS spike, a toxin spike within their gut. So what we did is we gave them a bottle of Megaspore or placebo. So go back to your dorm room and come back. When they came back, we gave them the same meal. And look at Megaspore just happened to blunt that huge. It's almost like the spores or the bacteria were actually eating up the LPS. So this is really cool to show you that Megaspore alone can have a profound effect on LPS in our gut. But also, if we started Megaspore right away on someone with a lot of gut issues, it might be a little tough. So the better way to do is start them on IgG, because IgG just simply binds to bacteria and toxins. So think about it. If I have a lot of gut issues, a lot of dysbiosis, I want to help clean things up before I really start, trying to regrow and really replenish our microbiome with prebiotics and probiotics. Let's take a slow approach. You can see ages 2 and above can take this product. That means it's really, really safe. I mean, come on, a 2-year-old can take a whole scoop of this. That's pretty cool. So this is really, really safe. IgG just goes in our mouth, through our stomach, through our gut, and we poop it out. But if it happens to bind to bacteria or toxins, it's just going to take them out with it. So what a perfect product to start when we're thinking about dysbiosis. So again, very safe and very simple way of getting rid of dysbiosis. Any questions so far?
I love this, and I've been doing the IG 2000. So are you saying that it also would help with, if someone has mold issues, would that be, I mean, I guess that's not really applicable to the gut, but all of these things like the H. pylori and all of these other bacteria, I know for me, I'm very prone to getting E. coli or salmonella, and maybe someone else is eating the same food, but they're having no issues or symptoms, and I blowed up like, I'm 7 months pregnant. So which gut supplement is going after the bacteria like the E. coli and the salmonella?
Again, that's going to be, I can't say specifically it goes after E. coli or salmonella, but I know that if we help use, with Megaspore or even with our other product, the H258, which is one strain from Megaspore, but it's our antibiotic producer, that might be a better way of using some of the spores to help bring things back into balance. I can't say that IgG does bind to mold toxins, but I do know that I am taking IgG because I do have a mold issue, but in addition to the Megaspore as well. So again, I can't specifically answer your question because we don't really have data on like the mold toxins and things like that.
Okay.
But
the other, and you just touched on something. So if someone is taking the Megaspore, it's still okay to be taking the Mega IgG 2000 with the Mega Pre and Mega Mucosa.
Right. Yeah. So again, the thing about Megaspore is we just want to take things slow. If someone is to start with Megaspore, it might be a little bit too powerful for them. So we always want to start them with maybe the IgG. You know, with Megaspore, it even says there's dosing instructions. So it's going to be, you know, starting things slow. Oh, I made it too big, sorry. But if someone can tolerate, you know, Megaspore, you better believe they can take the IgG and the Megaspore in the same mouthful of capsules. It would just be, if they've never taken Megaspore before, we want to start them slowly. And the idea is just to introduce the spores slowly, because again, we don't want to create too much die-off. And so the IgG, though, is just really good at cleaning up the environment so Megaspore won't have to create too much die-off in the process of doing their job. So if someone were to start with IgG, just do that for a month or two, or maybe just 1 month, one full bottle, and then you can start introducing the Megaspore. Does that help?
Yep, that helps. And also for everyone out there, the accelerated cellular detox powder helps soak up the die-off so that you're not getting the symptoms as much. So Jeff, let's get into the mega pre and mega mucosa as well. Where do they fit in?
So let me go to the kit real quick. So we do have the kits. These are the 3-month kit. And so this is just showing us that we're going to, and I'll explain it to you in a minute. I'll show you. But so we can use these products in a kit just because if someone wants the directions right there, they're there. So the week 1 was the same thing that would be on the bottle. But for the most part, there are just a simple way of starting the products, and I'll do that now. So when we go to, oh, I just erased something, darn it. All right, so with Megaspore, that's gonna be the one we're gonna start with. And then after we graduate, the second month, we can, and graduate, I just meant after a month of Megaspore is then when we'll throw in the prebiotic. Because our prebiotic is a precision prebiotic. What that means is a lot of prebiotics feed everything. Like if I have SIBO and I take a prebiotic, it's going to feed SIBO as well. But it's fortunate that the oligosaccharides, fructosaccharides, oligosaccharides, these things, there is research showing that it actually helps regrow keystone strains. And keystone strains are like the football coach is to a football team, like the maestro is to an orchestra. Without keystone strains, well, keystone strains make our microbiome. So we need a bunch of Akkermansia, Mucinifal, Fecali, Prozitzai, a lot of the bifidos. So if our goal with the probiotic is to help get rid of dysbiosis and help bring things back into balance, what better thing to do than have a prebiotic that's going to help regrow the good guys? So that's the beauty of the prebiotic, is they actually help make our microbiome. So our prebiotic is unique to that. So again, the spores, the total, and using the 3 products, Megaspore, the idea is to help get rid of the bad guys, allow the good guys to regrow. Good guys are keystone strains, enough vitamin producers, hormone producers, saccharolytic and proteolytic fermentators, ratios of good and bad bacteria, all this stuff that really needs to be there and have to help a healthy, diverse microbiome. And so with that said, our prebiotic is unique. Now, the reason why we just want to hold off on it first is if I have a lot of dysbiosis and I throw in the prebiotic, it's really not going to be the product at that time. We should just hold off on it because we want to work on cleaning up the gut before we add some of the food for the good guys. So that's why we kind of do, we might start with the Mega IgG for a month, and then we can go to the Total Gut Restoration for Leaky Gut, but then we'll just start with Megaspore. And we can also continue with the Mega IgG. So Mega IgG first month. Second month, we can continue with the IgG and add the Megaspore, titrate up. The beginning of the 3rd month, we can add the prebiotic and then do that for a month. And then the 4th month would be when we're going to add the Mega Mucosa. And the reason is because the Megaspore is helping get rid of the bad guys, allow the good guys to regrow. The prebiotic is going to double their efforts, and that is in research, where it does help support the regrowth of the keystone strains, really support what the Megaspore is doing. And then the Mega Mucosa, and I'll show you the product, it has immunoglobulins and amino acids. Those actually, the research shows it helps stimulate the mucin 2 production to help regrow our mucosal layer. So this is a very simple fix with the 3 products. Again, recondition the gut with Megaspore. Get rid of the bad guys, allow the good guys to regrow. We can reinforce them and then rebuild the gut lining. And that's really ultimately the total gut restoration. So,
and Jeff, Jeff, if you could explain to everybody how the megaspore, just in layman's terms, works differently than the typical probiotic, because so many people are spending thousands of dollars on regular probiotics that are actually could be doing damage.
Yes. Okay. So, according to the World Health Organization and the NIH, there are criteria for a probiotic. Most of the probiotics in the United States aren't even probiotics. Most of them aren't even surviving the gastric, the gut. And a lot of them, they talk about, theirs has 50 billion CFUs, some have an enteric coating, some have fairy dust. They all have a different marketing message. I was just kidding about the fairy dust. But they don't necessarily, they're not even probiotics. A probiotic by definition has to have an evolutionary significance. So for example, these guys right here were interacting with the bacillus spores on a daily basis. Our ancestors, hunters and gatherers, were in the dirt, living with prebiotics and probiotics and these types of spores. They have healthy guts, or historically they have had the healthiest of the guts. So we don't interact with Mother Nature like we should. And if we did, we would naturally replenish the spores. So they're part of our evolutionary significance. Our gut was almost developed around their needs. And it's pretty interesting to think of the fact that, we can give megaspore to dogs, cats, birds, agriculture, aquaculture. When we take megaspore, they naturally survive our gut. And okay, so here, let me just do this. Well, I'm just gonna tell you the story. So when we eat megaspore, these strains are naturally in spore form, okay? So like a seed, when we eat them, they naturally survive our stomach and then they wake up in our duodenum. And now they are a live microorganism that eats, thinks, and goes to the bathroom. And so when we eat megaspore, think of megaspore as like a custom probiotic, because these strains are going to go into my gut. They're going to, through quorum sensing, that's how bacteria talk. They're going to read my gut environment. See, are there good guys down there? Are there pathogens? Is there, they're going to read my entire gut microbiome and make a decision on what they're going to produce to help my gut. Watch this. I don't know if you can read this, but I'll try to show it to you. So it says, Bacillus licheniformis produces whole spectrum of B vitamins, folic acid. Bacillus indicus, these are what's in megaspore. It says produces high levels of carotenoids, lycopene, azathioprine, beta-carotene, lutein. Produces quinols and vitamins. Produces over 12 different antibiotics. Produces nanokinase and K2. So you're like, Jeff, how do they produce it? Well, they eat, they think, and they go to the bathroom. So it's literally their metabolic waste that is antibiotics. So they don't make antibiotics all the time, but when we take the megaspore or even HU58, the spores are going to go into our gut, read the environment. If they find a pathogen, they literally will circle around them and poop out antibiotics and kill them. So HU58 and one of our standalone products is like a smart antibiotic, a smart antimicrobial. It's going to make a decision and produce antimicrobials or antibiotics when it's necessary in my gut. So now, when you think of, I should point this out too, megaspore, one of the strains most widely used probiotic drug in the world, antibiotic resistant. Bacillus coagulans that's in megaspore, strongly studied with a long history for IBS, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis. So the spores are, the strains in megaspore have been used in Europe and Asia for 60 years. There's a ton of safety and efficacy data on the spores, and that's why our founder chose to make them. Our founder was asked by a company to make a probiotic, and then he started asking questions like, why are some of these probiotics in a refrigerator? Where was the refrigerator in the jungle? There wasn't. So, but he found out that there's a ton of safety and efficacy data on the spores. So this is why megaspore was literally changed the probiotic industry. And when it says probiotic and antioxidant combination, remember, it's what their metabolic waste. They can produce antibiotics, antimicrobials, and things like that. And so every one of you that take megaspore, the spores are going to read your gut and make things according to what they find. So Megaspore literally is a custom probiotic. And at the end of the day, when we're thinking of diversity, again, keystone strains, ratios of good and bad, saccharolytic and proteolytic fermentators, those other probiotics that have lactobacillus and bifido, they're doing nothing for pathogens. They're doing nothing for the rest of the community. They're just trying to make more of them. And so the spores aren't just trying to make more of them. They're literally, their goal is to clean up our gut microbiome and help the regrowth of all the things we need. Now, I'm going to get a regrowth of what my mom gave me. I'm going to get a regrowth of my lactobacillus and my bifido that my mom gave me. You guys are going to get a regrowth of what your mom gave you. And so that's how a probiotic should work. It should be a bacillus. It needs to be a spore former. And then the beauty of it is it can survive the gastric ulcer. So a true probiotic survive the gastric system. Bacteria found in the microbiome. The spore-based probiotic, they are gut commensal organisms. We do have it, so they are part of our gut microbiome. We should naturally have about 2 billion spores in our gut. And we naturally should replenish them off the land, but we don't because we live in our concrete jungle. So we have to replenish these very crucial keystone strains to help keep our gut microbiome in balance. And so, yeah, so there's basic criteria, and most of the products fall in this category, the dead bacteria paradox. If I took, let's say, VSL3, I had a friend that used to be their rep. She said, yeah, our study shows that when you take VSL, the symptoms go away. But when you stop taking VSL, the symptoms come back. Well, that might be because as the dead bacteria from VSL passes through the gut, it might affect the pH, might make someone feel a little bit better, but VSL is doing nothing for the entire gut microbiome. When we're thinking of, what we want in a gut, we want this healthy, diverse microbiome. If we're throwing in 10 strains of lactobacillus, what is that doing for all the dysbiosis and the keystone strains? It's doing nothing. So that's why it's good to know that a true probiotic can have a profound effect on my gut, so much so that if maybe someone doesn't think they need it every day, I'm going to say follow your intuition, because we should be, if Megaspore is doing what we're saying it's going to do, our microbiome should be getting better almost month after month after month. The idea is the spores are going to go in there, start cleaning up our gut. The next time you take Megaspore, they're going to read the environment and produce things accordingly. So as we move forward, they're going to change what they're doing as we start getting better. And so we shouldn't have to take Megaspore every day. But since we have so many things working against our microbiome, like glyphosate, GMOs, stress, I do have to take Megaspore and a couple of our products every day, because we don't really stand a chance. And if you guys remember that movie Super Size Me, where the guy was eating McDonald's every day, that was all because of LPS, and he was going down. I mean, that guy was gonna die if he kept going at his rate. But remember the leaky gut study I showed you, just having Megaspore alone can have a profound effect on LPS. So you better believe I take Megaspore every day, and a few of our products, because again, our environment, our food supply, and stress, and things are really working against our microbiome. So we're really lucky that we do have Megaspore, because it really can play a major role in just keeping our gut in balance with so many things working against us.
Jeff, we just have a couple minutes and we have a question. If someone's been taking Megaspore for 6 months already, would you add in the IgG 2000 or would you add in the prebiotic and stop Megaspore? And I can just tell you, for me, I'm the same way. I've done the Megaspore for over 6 months, and I just started adding this in the Mega IgG for I think it's been 2 months now, and I feel great on both of them. I also do the Mega Pre and Mega Mucosa as well.
Wonderful. Yeah. So again, the IgG. Think about this person or the client. If they've been on Megaspore and they can take 2 capsules, and always throw in both capsules at the same time. Don't separate the dose. Take 2 capsules at once, throw in the entire army, and do that once a day. But the Megaspore is going to work on reconditioning, help the good guys regrow. But the IgG is just so helpful for toxins. And, so yeah, maybe this person would never need IgG. But again, it's a really good tool to have. Two quick comments about IgG. How I've used it, my sister, she ate some food, she got food poisoning, ate something in Mexico. She took 4 IgG right then and there. In a few hours, the food poisoning issue was gone. It was as if the IgG literally bind to the toxins that were just, or the bacteria that was just about to wreak havoc on her. So, and also I have found the people that, let's say they drank too much and they ate too much and go to bed, when they wake up at 3 in the morning and they feel like crud, you know, if they went to grab some IgG, it's going to help kind of just bind to that stuff that's sitting there, making them feel crappy. So it's a really good tool. Also binds to bacteria and toxins, but that's good for food poisoning and other issues. Now that's kind of off label, but just give you an idea of why we can use IgG to help with our gut and the bacteria or toxins that might be in it. So again, they're totally different tool. It's straight up like meant to clean up dysbiosis and get rid of bacteria and toxins. But the Megaspore is ideas to help with the keystone strains, help regrow a lot of the other good guys that, and that's then also the prebiotic help with the regrowth of the good guys. And then the Mega Mucosa helps with the regrowth of the mucosal layer. So you kind of can still use all 4 products, but you don't have to. But hopefully, did that help at all?
Yep, that helps. And we've got 3 more minutes. So real quickly, can you touch on the Mega Guard and how that is helping with digestion?
Okay. Sorry, I got rid of my screen. Let me go there, share. So Mega Guard, licorice, ginger, and artichoke. These 3 ingredients have a lot of research on them. And at the end of the day, the Mega Guard is really good, like it says here, just strictly, indigestion, GERD, dyspepsia, H. pylori, overgrowth, nausea, ulcers. So it's really good. It's kind of even soothing to the gut. But again, the Mega Guard is just there's no products that have these 3 ingredients. And if you just read on the bottle, it just says it balances H. pylori, supports normal digestion, balances stomach acid. So does not impact blood pressure. I think it's the licorice flavonoids. It is deglycerinated, so it won't affect blood pressure. And then there is clinical research on the studies, but for the most part, it's just a great product because of the ingredients themselves to actually help with our gut. And you would take it before a meal or kind of with the meal. But did that help at all?
Yep, and I can tell you that I've researched all 3 of those ingredients separately for a long time, and there's a lot of history behind them. So that was perfect. Well, there you go, everybody. I'm going to obviously post this on YouTube, and please share this health talk with your friends and family. I don't know anybody that's not suffering from leaky gut of some sort, and they need help. And if you are having unexplained weight gain, unexplained pain, brain fog, dysbiosis, edema, water retention, all of that stuff could be back up, and it all goes back to the gut. It's all goes back to the gut. And you're talking to somebody that literally does this business, and Accelerated Health Products grew out of me being on the verge of Crohn's disease and colitis, IBS, IBD. I went to all the different doctors. They couldn't help me. And I have fine-tuned the dietary, the supplements, the lifestyle that all work synergistically to help piece these things together. And this company, Microbiome Labs, is the best of the best. I only carry the best of the best because I really don't have to carry anything at all. And I have found a lot of success with my clients and also with my children and my husband and myself. So thank you, Jeff, for joining us today. And if you have any questions, you can always put them in the group chat on Telegram and share that with your friends and family. Invite them to join so that they can learn as well, just like you do. Thanks, everybody.